She was Private First Class Elena Torres. Her job today was simple: pouring coffee and serving lunch. That was it. But pinned discreetly to her uniform was a medal, a silver star. Her own commanders, the men who had ordered her to kitchen duty, had no idea. They had dismissed her. They had overlooked her. They saw only a young woman suited for menial work. They were about to learn they had made a grave mistake. A single general was moments away from noticing that flash of silver. And what happened next would not only change Elena's life forever, it would publicly embarrass the entire chain of command. This is the incredible, true story of the quiet hero they almost forgot, and why you need to keep watching to see the explosive moment of the reveal. The mess hall was alive with a low, self-important buzz. Generals, colonels, and high-ranking officers in crisp, starched uniforms filled the room. The air was thick with the scent of coffee and the low murmur of powerful conversations. They talked strategy, they talked budget, they talked promotions. Their medals gleamed under the midday light, symbols of long, distinguished careers. Elena moved through it all with a quiet dignity that went entirely unnoticed. She was a ghost in the room, her hands steady as she cleared plates and refilled water pitchers. Her superiors had assigned her here. They hadn't checked her records. They hadn't seen her file. They simply assumed her role was this: a faceless service worker. They thought her capable of nothing more than routine tasks. Elena never complained. Her posture was proud, her eyes observant. She carried the weight of her assignment without bitterness, simply performing the duty she was given. She listened to the laughter, the boasting, the occasional barked order, blending into the background as she had been taught to do in far more dangerous places. The high-ranking officers were absorbed in their own world. They didn't spare a glance for the young private. They didn't see the quiet strength in her movements. They were too busy discussing the business of the day to notice the heroism standing right beside their table. But all of that was about to shatter. Elena leaned over a table to refill a coffee mug. The man seated there was a 4-star general, deep in discussion with another officer. As she carefully tilted the pitcher, the light from a nearby window angled across her chest. It caught a tiny, distinct piece of metal pinned to the fold of her jacket. A single, sharp glint of silver. The general's voice cut off abruptly. His eyes narrowed. His discussion faltered mid-sentence. He stopped talking, stopped moving, and simply stared. His gaze was fixed not on her face, but on that small, unassuming pin. He knew what he was seeing. There was no mistaking the shape, the size, the deep significance of that decoration. The silver star. A silence, sudden and thick, descended over their immediate area. The general reached out his hand, not to touch but to point. His voice, now low and dangerous, sliced through the remaining background noise. "Private Torres," he demanded, "where did you get that medal?" The entire room went instantly silent. The clatter of cutlery stopped. All conversations ceased. Every single officer, from the youngest lieutenant to the highest-ranking general, froze in place. Their eyes swung from the general to the private standing over his table. They watched Elena. For a heartbeat, she hesitated, unaccustomed to being the center of such attention. Then she straightened her posture completely. Her face was calm, but her jaw was set. She looked at the general, then around the room at the sea of officers who had so easily dismissed her. She owed them the truth. She owed it to herself. In a quiet, steady voice, Elena began to speak. She explained that she had earned the Silver Star during a mission overseas. She recounted the sheer terror of that day. Her unit was ambushed. They found themselves deep in hostile territory, utterly cut off, surrounded by overwhelming enemy fire. The situation was hopeless, but Elena refused to accept that. With no regard for her own safety, she told them, she had crawled. She crawled through a hail of bullets, through the relentless chaos, toward her wounded comrades. She was the one who dragged them, one by one, to cover. She radioed for reinforcements. She held the perimeter alone, maintaining the line until backup arrived. She looked her commanders in the eyes and stated plainly, she refused to leave anyone behind. The mess hall listened in absolute, stunned silence. The generals, who had been laughing and boasting just minutes before, felt their earlier assumptions crumble. Elena's own commanding officer, the man who had so casually relegated her to kitchen duty without a second thought, felt his face burn with a deep, consuming shame and regret. He realized that he had not only failed to recognize her heroism, he had actively insulted it. When Elena finished her account, the silence held for a long, heavy moment. Then the four-star general who had initiated the reveal slowly, deliberately rose to his feet. He crossed the room. He didn't speak a word. Instead, he simply saluted her. One by one, the other generals and officers followed his example. They stood up. They came forward. They offered their hands, their respect, their gratitude. The room was transformed from a place of casual hierarchy into a stage for profound, unscripted honor. The officer who had assigned her to the mess hall stepped forward last. His voice was thick with emotion as he publicly apologized, acknowledging her courage and the blatant injustice of his own oversight. The entire base was shaken. Word of Elena's story spread like wildfire through the ranks. Soldiers who had barely known her now greeted her with profound admiration. Officers were now forced to reflect on their own leadership and the danger of making superficial judgments. Elena's quiet courage became an immediate legend, a powerful reminder that true heroes often work in the background, unseen and unheralded. From that day forward, the trajectory of Elena Torres's career was changed completely. She was no longer the quiet figure clearing trays. She was greeted with immediate, genuine respect wherever she went. The officers who had once dismissed her now sought out her advice. Her fellow soldiers looked up to her as a role model of selfless leadership. The base commander quickly promoted Elena. She was given a position where she could mentor new recruits, sharing the lessons she had learned under fire and through her life experience. She guided young soldiers with patience and humility, always stressing that true strength comes from within, regardless of one's rank or assignment. A special ceremony was held in her honor, where the generals who had once been strangers now stood beside her, ensuring her silver star was recognized by all. As Elena stood before her peers, the medal gleaming brightly on her chest, she felt a surge of pride, not just for herself, but for every single person who had ever been underestimated or overlooked. Her journey became a powerful story that resonated far beyond the base gates, inspiring soldiers and civilians alike to look past appearances and value the silent courage in the people around them. The officer who had assigned her to kitchen duty became one of her strongest supporters, often sharing her story as a crucial lesson in effective leadership and the destructive nature of assumptions. Elena's life was forever transformed, yet she remained true to herself, humble, compassionate, and always ready to lend a helping hand. In the end, her greatest honor wasn't the medal she wore, but the respect she had earned and the countless lives she had touched. Her legacy endures in the soldiers she mentors, proving that the most extraordinary acts of bravery often come from those we least expect. If this incredible account of quiet valor and the power of a single moment has inspired you, don't just finish the video. Hit that like button right now to show your support for all the heroes who serve without seeking glory. And if you want more stories that reveal the surprising truth about ordinary people who achieve extraordinary things, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into courage. True courage has no rank.